What fits your mates probably might not fit you. But I said, can I show you what I believe is going to be a really good fit for you that I think you're going to like? And then I'll go get her another pair of jeans and they're a perfect fit.
Hey, adventurer! I'm Bridget Hallam from Throw Your Leg Over, and I am really excited today because I am chatting with Lisa Campbell. Now, Lisa is the CEO of Race and Road, and Race and Road are the specialists in racing gear and riding gear. So, Lisa is a motorcycle apparel expert. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Bridget. How are you today?
Excellent, hot, but excellent. Now, women come in all shapes and sizes, and since the dawn of time, I think it's been a common challenge for women to find gear that fits properly and comfortably. And I know that's changing, and I know Race and Road is at the forefront of that. So, what I would like to just kick off with is what's your advice for women who are shopping for motorcycle apparel, particularly pants and jackets?
Yep. Okay. So I definitely understand how difficult it is. When I first started riding, I got fitted in ill-fitting helmets. That was always too big for me. I had a men's jacket, which was about two sizes too big, and these terrible jeans that made me look really frumpy. So I felt uncomfortable. I didn't like the way I looked. And every time I went over a speed bump, my helmet would lift off my head. But I thought that that was normal. I thought this is just the way it is. And when I looked around back then, there was hardly any gear for ladies, especially. So, you just get on with it and off you go. And then over the years, when I was looking at getting all of my own gear, I realized there was not much for women. And I never wanted other women to be in the same position that I was and had all the difficulties that I was finding when I was trying to get into writing. So when we started Race and Road, that was our turning point because we wanted to create an environment where women had so many options and choice about what they can wear for every shape, size, and budget as well. Every lady is in there with different price points or different expectations or needing different solutions for their body shape and size. So we sort of feel like we have helped in that to fit a lot of women for all sorts of writing that they're doing, which is fantastic. But my advice overall would be for ladies, doesn't matter if you're a beginner or, you've been writing for a long time, is try not to self-serve with your motorcycle gear. And what I mean by that is we have a lot of people who try and buy online, but I would always recommend going to a store where you've got experts that can fit you correctly. One big issue we do find with ladies is that across all the brands, they all are different shapes and sizes, and a lot of them run really small. So, a lady who's, for example, normally a size 14, she comes in, well, it doesn't matter where she goes, she will go into a store and she'll try on a 14, and usually it's going to be too small. And what we do is we already know which brands and which gear runs really small. So then we can make sure we just hand the lady exactly the gear that we know is going to fit her well and that she's going to feel really good in. I really wish that we could rip some of the size tags off these things because I do find it is a little bit disappointing when ladies they look at themselves in the mirror and they go, "Oh my God, it fits, it looks great. I love this." Then they turn and they look and they realize they're not in a 14, they're actually in a 16. And I do understand how that looks and how that feels. And that's something that I'm hoping over time will change in the industry. But yeah, but overall, I love how we can fit ladies, you know, like a lady could come into our store and she's after a jacket or a pair of pants, and she can come in, get fitted correctly from the get-go across several different brands. And, not everything off the rack fits perfectly. So what we can do is you might have a jacket that fits you 100% everywhere perfect, but it might be a little bit long in the arms. So what we do is we can do a trim and a taper on the arms. So therefore we can get the cuff of the garment away from their wrists and away from that throttle action. So we find that little things like that that we can do to help get that even better fit for the ladies and the guys. But hey, it's all about ladies for us right now. Yeah, we love the fact that, it doesn't matter what their body shape is or size, we can get them sorted with all the gear. So that's what I'd recommend to start with.
That is awesome advice. And I can totally relate to what you've just said about the sizing. The number of times that I've gone in and picked up my size and I cannot get it over my hips, like, it's just, and it's a bit demoralizing. But I've just decided I'm going to ignore the numbers on the sizing and just find something that fits me. And I'm going to confess here, I have bought pants from Race and Road and I have used your alteration service. And oh my God, that is a game changer. The thing that's coming to mind the most for me was a pair of pants that fit beautifully. I love them. They were great, except at the small of my back, they gaped, which is a common problem I have. And you guys were just like, no, we can alter those for you. And now they just fit beautifully. I love that so much. I would just, yeah, thank you. I'll cut that bit out, but thank you.
You're more than welcome. Well, with our alteration service, so we have them in both stores in our Dandenong South and at Archerfield, but we also take the service on the road as well. So when we go to all of the Australian superbike rounds, not only do we service the racers with their crash repairs, we also have customers who bring their gear, like just general customers. They're not racers. They might have jackets or vests, whatever it is. They bring their gear to the track, they meet us, and if we can't do it on the spot during the racing, then we can take it back in our workshops, get the gear repaired and or altered, and then we give it back to them. Just recently, we help out with the women's only ride days, which is called Word down in Broadford, Victoria. And as part of our Race and Road support to them, we actually had our team there set up with the sewing machines, and we do on-spot alterations for the ladies. So, every opportunity that we can help the ladies feel more comfortable on the track or on the road so they look better, they're more confident, and then they know that they're protected with the good safety gear.
That's awesome. I love that. I love it so much. So, tell me a bit about your story. How did you fall in love with motorcycles and racing? Because I know you've done a bit of racing.
Okay, so firstly, I am a little bit of a hoon naturally. I grew up at the Speedway, and that is thanks to my dad. So I blame him. But I actually worked in a very busy corporate world, and I feel like my release during all that period of time was to sort of I actually became a bit of an adrenaline junkie. So I was jumping out of planes, I was scuba diving with the sharks, I was paragliding off cliffs, I was getting gun licenses and all sorts of things. And then one day, I had a friend who said, "Do you want to come for a ride with me in the back of my bike?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Anyway, next minute, I'm on the back of his GSXR. And as you know, it has the tiny seats, not the most comfortable. But I found myself as we were riding up through Mount Glorious and Mount Nebo, I was looking over his shoulder because I wanted to see what he was doing and how he was riding this bike. Anyway, come back down. Next minute, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get a motorbike license. I want a bike. And my mum's like, hell no. Anyway, I got my learners, I got my license, to my mum's horror. But what I did was I decided to shout my mum a Harley Davidson two-up ride because I wanted my mum to experience that little bit of feeling about what it's like to ride a motorbike and how exhilarating it is and, the freedom. So I did that. She fell in love with it, of course. And then she ended up going ahead and getting her learners herself.
Wow.
I know. It's so amazing. Like I love my mom, the fact that she did that and later on in life, I thought it was fantastic. So mum sort of gave me the tick in her ways. Anyway, next minute, 6 weeks later, after getting my license, I then did one of the first women's only track days at Queensland Raceway. And then a few years later, after some setbacks, I then started racing and never looked back.
Wow. That's awesome. Kudos to your mum, too. That's fantastic.
I know. I love when I see so many of our customers that come in. For years, they've been pillion on the back of their partner's bikes. And we see them over the years. Yep, like you. They come in,
Yes.
they're there just to get a jacket or something, they're on the back. And I used to always say, so when are you going to get their license? When are you going to get your license? And they're like, oh no. And I'm like, you should, like, you're already riding, it's fantastic. And we have had quite a few ladies who have come back over the years who have come up to me and they've said, guess what, Lisa? I've now got my license and I need gear. And
Woohoo.
yeah, I love it. And I actually find that we see more of these ladies installed than their husbands these days. So I love that. Times are changing.
Yes. Bring it on, I say.
Yes.
All right. So, for someone who is just starting her motorcycling journey, maybe she's just thinking about getting a license or she's just got a license, she's kind of new, she's just getting her skills and learning. What basic foundation gear would you suggest for her just to get started?
Yep. Okay. Well, coming from someone who is I'm an all the gear, all the time kind of girl, and that probably comes from my background of racing and doing a lot of track days. So I'm always head to toe in full leathers. But when we have beginners come in, one of the most common sort of trend that I always find is with the ladies is that they don't want to spend a lot of money because they don't know if they're going to like it. And I always sit back and I'm like, oh no, you're going to absolutely be hooked. Like you're going to love it. But I understand the budget and they don't want to go crazy. So there's things that you can do straight away to ensure that you can get quality safety gear that's nice and lightweight. Because when you're learning to ride, you don't want anything heavy and thick. You want it to be nice and lightweight, especially when it comes to gloves. So you can look at some of the smaller Australian brands like Racondi or Motor Dry. They've got really great value for money gear. So, you can get a pair of gloves for like 50, $60, and they've all got armor in them. And you can still use a touch screen on your phone, but it's nice to use, easy to control on the motorbike. So I think a pair of gloves is a mandatory must. In the event of an off, unfortunately, the first thing that does hit the ground is normally your hands. So to have a pair of gloves is really, really important. If you can afford to get a pair of leather gloves, that's going to be even better for you. But initially, just get a pair of gloves that's going to protect your hands in the event of an off. With helmets, the current standard is a 2206 helmet. Most retail stores have 2206 helmets. That is the current standard. That is the latest testing, and that's the helmet that you should be in. I am not a fan of plastic helmets. Plastic helmets are cheaper. Yes, I understand that. But if you can afford to just shell out a little bit more money on a quality composite helmet, I would highly recommend that. You've got helmets like the LS2 Vector 2. It's a beautiful helmet, $400 or so, and that is an excellent quality helmet. So try not to skimp on a helmet, ladies. A lot of ladies that I do find are using their partner's secondhand old helmet, which is always too big for them and it wobbles around everywhere. And the amount of men who come in and they say, my partner's going to get on the back of my bike with me and I just want a cheap helmet. And I'm like, oh, no. And I'm like, why do you,
No.
yeah, why do you want a cheap helmet for your partner or your wife? Like, why can't we get her a good value helmet that's going to give her some really good protection. So definitely with the helmet, you got to try them on, ladies. Try not to buy a helmet online. Get the right fit, get fitted correctly in store by the experts. So then you're reassured that in the event something happens, that your head is protected well. So definitely recommend that.
I can totally relate to that because I have an LS2 helmet at the moment and it's the version 1 of that helmet. They brought out the version 2. I tried version 2 on and it was a completely different shape. And I'm like, oh, no, no, no. So I stuck with the version 1. So, yeah, totally recommend trying on helmets because some of us have got oval heads, some of us have got round heads, all sorts of heads. So, yeah, very, very important. Thank you.
Yeah, 100%. We find that a lot of people also fit, if they're self-serving, they fit the helmets too big. So if you see someone, they'll go and put a helmet on, and they're like, yep, that's perfect. And it is massive. Like it's always too big for them. And then when you put them in the correct fitting helmet, they always will say, oh, it's too tight. But they need to understand that over time, the cheek pads and everything will compress, but it needs to be nice and firm. You don't want any movement with your helmet. So having an expert fit you in store with your helmet is really, really critical. And it's one that I definitely think you need to invest your money in and getting a correct fitting helmet. And being also aware if you're buying a helmet online, there's unfortunately a lot of knockoffs and they're all sitting in marketplaces, and they look like the legit helmet, but they're actually not the genuine product. So just be very, very mindful what you're buying. If you are looking to buy online, I would always highly recommend just go to a reputable retail outlet that is authorized to sell those brands. So you get the best protection and you also get the warranty as well.
Yeah, nice.
So when it comes to protective gear, like your jacket, for example, textile's always going to be a lot more cost effective. Leather's going to give you better protection. In the warm weather, is leather hot? Yeah, absolutely. But you can get perforated leather. So perforated leather allows the airflow to come through. So have a look at those options as well. But one critical thing that everyone forgets is your back protector. There's a lot of gear on the market, ladies, that doesn't come with back protectors when you purchase the item. Have a look at what it actually includes. They all come with the shoulder and elbow armor. A lot don't come with a back protector. You've got Aussie brand Raikondi. Every single jacket, which is leather or textile, and leather suits, they all come automatically in the gear with a level 2 back protector. So level 2 is your highest standard. So great value for money. You can get a quality jacket that's going to protect you with a level 2 back protector for like under $200. Okay. So there are plenty of options there. If you wanted to get an all-rounded jacket, you can get ones that have the zip out thermal liners and also the zip out waterproof liners. So they're great for adventure riders, people who don't really know what kind of gear they want just yet, or they want something that they can layer on and layer off. So you can get some really good quality gear like that. Riding in this lovely heat that we have across the country right now, there are solutions for that. There's mesh textile jackets. For example, the Motor Girl Jody mesh jacket that we sell at Race and Roads, one of our popular jackets. It allows all the airflow through. Plus, you've got different things like cooling vests. So we sell a lot of cooling vests in store, and they are easy to use. You put a bottle of water in there, and they can last up to 3 days, and they keep your body temperature nice and cool. And then on the flip side, in winter, there's heated gloves, there's heated vests. So there are solutions for everyone when it comes to the temperatures. And then with pants, pants is a big one for ladies. We have hips and we have bums, we have short legs, we have long legs. There's such a variety. And I totally understand how difficult it is. I'm a short person, and most of my pants I always have to take up, for example. But I think we're really fortunate these days because we've got things like double A and triple A leggings and pants from brands like Pandamoto, which are absolutely fantastic, through to Motor Girl Lara Kevlar pants, Bullet Kovic jeans. So there's all different types of jeans and pants, right through to leather pants for every body shape and size and purpose that they need. So I just think it's something to keep in mind that there are options for everybody that you can get really great protection. You can get quality gear, and depending on your budget, which you can talk to the team about, you might say, this is my budget, but I want to be head to toe protective. Okay, well, let's package that up for you so we can get you everything you need head to toe, and we can keep those costs down for you. But when it comes to pants, you need to look for what comes automatically with knee armor, hip armor, and it has to have some type of abrasion resistant fabric. If you don't have a Kevlar or some type of ballistic fabric or a Kovac fabric, that means you're not protecting yourself. And me personally, when I started riding, literally my first day when I was learning how to ride, I was down at Springwood in a car park in a group of 20 people in the torrential rain. I learned how to ride a bike in the rain. And I'll never forget it because I hit gravel in the wet. And that day, I wore my thickest jeans. They were my thickest jeans. And I'm like, oh, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I literally was going probably only 15 Ks an hour. I slipped on the gravel, came straight off. My thickest jeans shredded within milliseconds. And I remember I had to go up and buy another pair of jeans plus waterproof pants because I'm like, I'm going to keep riding. I'm not going home. I'm not going to let this stop me. My knee blew up and I was on a 2-day course. And I was just like, if I had just invested in a pair of proper pants, I would have saved my skin. I would have had knee armor in there and it would have saved myself a bit of pain. So I can't recommend just spending a little bit of money getting a pair of protective pants and protecting yourself.
Yeah. I'm totally at GAT, all the gear, all the time. So I'm 100% with you. And I know that sometimes our budgets can vary, but I love what you're saying about go in and chat to the expert and let them know what your budget is, and they will help you put together the best gear for your budget, for what you want. And, I think it's way easier than trying to figure it out yourself, really. So,
100%. I can actually say the amount of ladies who will come in store, and I think they might get a little bit overwhelmed because there is actually a lot of gear. And what I do find is that they will go online and they will say, hey, what does everyone recommend for pants? Now, you've got a group of people who are all going to say one or two products. That lady comes into the store and all she does, she's tunnel vision, she just looks at those two pairs of pants. And then I will look at her body shape and I know they're not going to fit, but she needs to do the exercise to put them on and then to look at her face and she'll come out and she'll be like, oh, they don't fit me, they're uncomfortable. And I will just say to her, because not every pair of pants is designed for every shape. What fits your mates probably might not fit you. But I said, can I show you what I believe is going to be a really good fit for you that I think you're going to like? And then I'll go get her another pair of jeans and they're a perfect fit. And so I think it's really important that ladies realize that there are experts that can help you get in the right gear for your body shape and your size without you trying to fit into something that fits someone else's body shape and size that's not necessarily the best for you. So just keep an open mind with your gear. And if you put something on and it fits you bang on, you look great in it, it's protective and it's quite comfortable, then you're winning.
brilliant advice, Lisa. And what about boots?
So, ladies, please don't wear runners. I'd recommend to always look for the CE certified boots. They're usually on the label of the box or on the inside of the boots. It's really important that you make sure that you have protective footwear on when you're riding a motorcycle. And then you've got products like D3O, which are actually in the boots, which makes them super comfortable as well. So you've got your casual boots and then you've got your higher boots. Wear what's comfortable that you can afford to wear, but just don't wear runners. I don't know if you've seen that video where the boots on scraping on the ground, the boot disintegrates in a very short period of time.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's quite scary.
Yes. The general advice I would give to ladies is that try and buy the best quality gear that they possibly can within the budget constraints that they have.
Yes, I 100% agree with that. And I think that even goes beyond riding gear, but we say the same thing for like camping gear and everything.
Yeah.
Like just buy the best gear that you can with the
Yep.
budget that you have.
Yes.
Brilliant. Love it. Thank you so much. I and I'm sure other women, many other women appreciate so much what you do and all of the energy and effort that you put into looking after us. I appreciate it so much as a rider and as a shopper myself. I'm a regular shopper at Race and Road. I love all your gear and I thank you so much for that. And I know you guys are in Brisbane and you're in Melbourne. If someone is listening and they want to maybe come and do a bit of shopping with Race and Road, what's the easiest way that she can do this or find you?
Yeah, so you can go to raceandroad.com.au. On there, you will see pretty much everything that we stock there. But also we have the two outlets, which Bridget just mentioned, which are located on our website. Yeah, I reckon just pop in there, say good day. Doesn't matter where you're located though, because we send gear out all Australia wide, so we can get you sorted. We also have our custom install service as well. So no matter what shape and size you are, we can get you all fitted and the gear shipped out to you.
Awesome. Lovely. And I'll pop those links in the show notes as well. And I might even pop your socials on there as well. So make it super easy for everyone to find you. So thank you so much, Lisa. It has been awesome to chat with you. And no doubt you'll see me soon in your shop.
Thanks, Bridget. I really appreciate the chat. And yeah, thank you so much for putting this podcast together. I think it's fantastic with what you're doing as well.
Fantastic. Love it. Ciao.
Thank you.